Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. And so the plea is this: expect good things. More than that, we have set a stage for you in the information we've been giving for more than a year. And that stage for you is that things are changing on this planet. It's called the shift. I will say yet again, one of the things we told you is that light will increase. That's a metaphor. Awareness, revelation, revealing things will increase. And that will bring about a division between light and dark that you have not seen before. That is a metaphor. But it's a metaphor that is being played out on the earth right now. And what I mean is this: have you seen anyone, any group, any organizations, any governments, have you seen it where there will be those who wish to pull you backwards to your grandfather's world? And the answer is yes. And it's not just in one place. It's in many places. It's a resistance to all that is good, that all that makes sense. It's a resistance to love. And we told you that this would occur. And we also told you that it would only occur if there was an abundance of light on the planet. That's the reason you have pushed the dark into revealing itself, into yelling and screaming and saying, we're not going away, we're doing this instead, we're going to make trouble for you. But dear ones, all of this in the end is why you're here. There's something new I want to tell you about. In addition to everything else that I have ever channeled, this month I'm going to do 4 channels about something new. And this new something is a direct result of an enhanced biology I told you about a few months ago. This enhanced biology, if you have not heard about it before, was the activation of a pair of chromosomes that you didn't think you had. When physics comes in pairs, chemistry comes in pairs, all things are balanced. Why do you have 23 chromosomes? The answer is you have 24. And the last pair, the 24th pair, were altered. And we told you about how, why, and you can believe this or not. But what has happened is those who don't believe it will have a situation where someday they're going to have to ask, well, what else was there that created this enhancement? It's a change of human nature. It's where your 24th pair of chromosomes, those multidimensional pair, are now starting to be activated, enhanced, and that's the missing part that would create a human being who starts to have compassion and kindness and caring and starts to wake up and strip away that onion that we talk about to find a bigger reality, a revealing of self. And in this, you start to think differently. The world starts to expect things that are a lot better than they ever have been. You move away from the old train track of a history that repeated itself with war and more war. And when war starts to happen yet again, you object. And the entire world starts to change. Things that didn't matter are now mattering. Did you notice? Integrity of so many things in society now start to matter. Did you notice? You're looking to your governments. You're looking to your authoritative areas and organizations in a much, much different way than you ever did before. And now you know you can do something about them. You're looking at the rights of basic humanity and asking for things that you should have asked for long ago. but you never did, and now you do because of this enhancement. Things are changing with humanism. We told you they would. But that has activated something else. And now it's time to talk about that in this month. We can have 4 channels on this subject, and I'll tell you what the subject is. We're going to call it the power of life. And the second part of that is light energy. These are 2 new things which many who are metaphysical will say they're not new, they've always been there. What is new is their influence on everything. How many of you believe your life force on this planet is important to the planet or to others? In the billions who are here, is it important to them, or are you simply a speck in the ocean? Are you one of many? Do you struggle against everything? Are you a victim of the planet? Or, because you are starting to light up, dear ones, as old souls, light up and be something on this planet you were not before because of enhanced biology, suddenly your life matters to the planet. Your life matters because pieces and parts of your soul are now here with you that perhaps were not before. You're much bigger than you were before. Your esoteric footprint on this planet is huge. And that wasn't the way it was 25 years ago or 30. Are you getting this? This is the power of life. And suddenly, where you walk and what you do, and the light, the power of the light you have, that's new because of these changes, is starting to make differences. Now, this isn't just for the old soul. This is for all of humanity. Perhaps I should repeat that. All of humanity is receiving this. It's time. And we told you how this was being accomplished. We have predicted the shift for 30 years. In 2012, when it started to arrive, we gave you its attributes. We told you of the things to expect, and now they're here. But we never told you that there would be an enhancement of the human being. This was always in your purview. This was always something you might do with the tools that we have given you. Is it possible that there is a connection with the divine on this planet that you haven't really recognized before, that is your partner? Not just the earth, but the divine parts of your soul, the bigger picture, a larger plan, the shift, where this planet will lift itself up slowly in a way that no one ever expected, so that in 50 years or 100 years, psychologists will have to rewrite what is human nature. Because they'll look back and say, well, it used to be this, and now it's this. What does a human do in certain circumstances? And they're going to say, unbelievably, sociologists will say, unbelievably, now there is a twist, a turn, that they're going to go right for kindness. Oh, you think that's ever going to happen? I'm telling you, it is starting to happen right now. And the emphasis on this, one of the 4 messages I'm going to give you this month, is the effect of this on you. I want you to stand a little taller and know that you're worth something on this planet, something you didn't expect, a piece and a part of your soul, that beautiful, compassionate part that has always simply stood on the other side of the veil as your higher self, starts to implement its own energy within you, walking around eyeball to eyeball with others. That's the difference. That's the power of life. You mean something. Esoteric imprint, if you wish. The space that you take on this planet, that now the earth knows you and others knows you and know you, and where you walk makes a difference. And there will be those who say, well, what do I have to do about this? This is an actionable item. You can do whatever you want to, but we're inviting you to believe it. And once you start understanding this, you'll understand why you can then plan your future. Control the things in front of that train track that we say is where your train is headed, that you call the track of the future. That place that is simply unknown and frightening to so many. And we say, what if you could put your energy on that track in advance of you, so wherever you go, you meet yourself, that new self, a kind self. And that would make a difference between what you expect now and what you might expect later. Imagine going into a future where you're already there preparing a place for yourself. Think about that for a moment. That is a multidimensional concept of no time. And that is part of the new human being. That's what we're here to tell you. This entire month of channels will be about this. Congratulations, dear human being. Light is winning. And you will see this. You will see this. I represent all that is in love and what you are doing and have done and where you're going. I'm Kryon in love with humanity. And so it is. Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. Now, for those listening and not here, we are again in England, and it's a place named currently Whitehorse. The name is given because of the etching in the ground, which has then been dated thousands of years old. Dear ones, I am not here to create controversy with anything that you've been told. What I would love to do is to enhance the potentials beyond what you've been told. And when I say what you've been told, I mean that which you have been listening to today as a group and those who have read about this place. It is a grand place long before the horse. The horse came because of its grandness and some other things, which I may speak of. But we continue the theme of the crystalline grid. This place is so powerful for so many civilizations because they feel something here. And what they feel here is not necessarily one thing. It's a combined feeling that overlaps with itself and creates a serenity, a peace. Now today, it is beautiful. There's not a cloud in the sky. The temperature is wonderful. The sun is out, and there are those who could lay and say, I could be here a very long time. Dear ones, it's not always like this. If you were here in a bitter cold, with the mists that were so mysterious for the land, even the rain, I am telling you, you would want to stand for the same reason. You would want to be here for the same reason. There is a mystery that you all will feel at some level. And the mystery isn't what happened here. It is, why do I feel something here? I would like to tell you some things that you should know about ancients, to give you a better idea that is an overall view of just about everything you see. In all of the lands of the planet, that you would visit these things, the etchings, the stones, the castles, the churches. There is something that you should know about the ancients. For history builds upon the same places for the same reasons in layers. Some of them even line up together. And you wonder, what is it? In order for you to fully understand the simplicity and the beauty of some of what you see, you have to understand what the ancients truly focused on. A time that you cannot even believe existed, for it does not relate to anything at all in any books, in any photos, in any stories. Thousands of years old, these ancients would settle and concentrate and focus on 4 things. Only 4. You're going to find this all over the planet. Even today, with some very old cultures, there's only 4 things. And they are the following: birth, death, ancestry, and Gaia. And in all of 4 departments, everything is included that they would build stones for, or shapes for, or ceremonies for. In the birth department, it is the celebration of birth and also the honoring of fertility. In death, it is the ceremony of the passing over, in some cultures, in the expected return, and the consolation of those who grieve. In ancestry, the big one, they celebrate the wisdom of those who have passed over. And that's when you build the stones. And that is where the monuments come. Because then you have something physical that you can remember the ancestors' wisdom. And there is always something about the ancestors still being in an area. You're not the first to ask permission of the ancestors to come into the area, which you did. You're not the first to then honor the ancestors as though they were watching you, because all of the ancients did the same thing. It is intuitive with the human being who is an old soul to understand that the energy of the ancestors really never dissipates. It is held firm by the crystalline grid all over the planet. But in certain places, as I've told you, it is amplified. And this is one of them. And that is why some of you will feel what you feel, which is an honoring. It doesn't mean you were here. It doesn't mean you lived here. It doesn't mean you died here. It means that the ancestors recognize you, old soul, in this time on the planet and are saying, good job. We've worked hard and long for this. And that is what is under the grass here. The 4th attribute is Gaia. Now, Gaia encompasses many things, including that which is the weather, food production of those who learn to grow things, the animals and hunting for those who were hunters, and, dear ones, the stars. You might say, well, why does Gaia involve the stars? Dear ones, if you were here on this hill with the weather like it is at night with no sun, the sky would light up and you would see all the dots. You would see the Milky Way. You would see the stars every night. And to them, this was Gaia. It is part of the Earth experience. Today you know that the stars are distant, but to them, they are friends. They mean things. The constellations line up. They draw lines between them. They build things between them. These are the 4 attributes that have driven everything you see that is ancient even today. When my partner was in Egypt, they used the stars for alignment, pointing to certain places and certain reasons, for the same reasons. But that's all they saw. There was an honoring of Gaia there as well, and an according building that they did, very sophisticated, which aligned with the stars. In these four things, you will identify almost everything you see. White horse. When it was constructed, if you want to say that, it looked vastly different than you see today. Can you appreciate thousands of years going by where it was literally abandoned and then celebrated, brought to life again, celebrated again, abandoned again, and then discovered yet again? And each time it was improved. You could see under the grass, if you really wanted to, what the really shape was. It was a little different than you see today. Some ask, well, was it really a horse? Indeed, it was an animal. What did it represent and why was it put? I will tell you. And this is controversial, dear ones, for there is no writing to consult. But I was there. Some of you were too. It was fertility. Now, what is the energy of the land that you sit upon? It is rebirthing. It is life. It is one of the four attributes, and that is birth. And that is the overall feeling of this area. And the celebrations that were here through history varied greatly from fertility. And this is the way history is, dear ones. For different cultures and different times assign different values to different objects and things. But here, there was always benevolent celebration. There was no war celebration here. There was no amassing for battles here. And part of what you feel is that there was no energy to remember of death and destruction, horror and grief. What you remember is the ancestors and the idea of light and new birth. This is what the ground shouts at you even now. It doesn't go away. Now there's more. And now I'll give you something to ponder. I drop pearls of pondering. All over the planet, there's interested ones who will start drawing lines between things. And they will notice that the lines have symmetry. When we were in the country you call Hungary, we told them of the lines that went to their portal from all over the planet to that which we called the beating rock. And there was a reason for it. And they called the lines ley lines. And so did we. We told you that some of those lines were human consciousness created. Now that would also include the energy lines of the crystalline grid, because the grid remembers consciousness. So you may have what you call ley lines that are ancient and modern at the same time, because many societies have honored them and laid their own memories upon them. But not all the lines are ley lines. Some of them are practical lines. And let me explain this. Now, this is controversial. You are here on the hillside. What if I told you there used to be a river here? You would say, well, that's interesting. It's up in the air, Kryon. How could a river go uphill? then I would ask you, do you think that the topography you see today is even a bit similar to 4,000 years ago? And you would say, okay, there's probably been some changes. And you'd be right. Dear ones, I want to give you some information. Sometimes the straight lines between objects, between the circles, between fortresses, between churches, even between portals, are natural lines where water is on the surface, called a river. So they would build in straight lines if the river went straight. And if the river curved, you'll find a curve in the line. They're not always straight. And then something happens. But before that, why would they build on the river? Well, dear ones, this is the life force of the planet. It's water. And so you have things built in places where there's water. Now, over time, the rivers go away. But geologists will tell you that in the process of many rivers, they don't go away. They go underground. And so where the rivers were is no longer suitable for rivers. For the earth changes and moves and shifts and diverts the water. But where they used to be, there are reservoirs, created wells, and also literal underground streams that still exist to this day along the same lines as the rivers. And this is why you will find water on many of these lines. It's not a mystery. It's practical lines where rivers used to be. Now, this does not apply to all of them, only some. Can you imagine there is a vast variety of the kind of lines where they go, where they stop and start? And if they are connected to Gaia and consciousness, they've been created again and again. It's a science that is practical and fascinating at the same time. And it responds literally to that which is in the ground being remembered today for you. None of these things, dear ones, must be figured out. What you do is you ponder them, appreciate them, curious about them, and celebrate what is unknown. Because even the unknown brings peace. Dear Spirit, you might say, I don't understand you at all. But what I know is that I'm fine with all of it. I walk in tomorrow not understanding it at all, but I know that I'm cared for, that the ancestors are here, and that I'm a wise old soul on this planet, participating today in what used to be, for I am one with everything. Finally, I say this. Of the four things that the ancients focused on, let me ask you finally, which one was religion? And the answer is all of them together. They did not have a belief system. They did not develop things around that which was a statue or a prophet or a human. Those who study spiritual things will go back in time and say, well, they were all pagans. Look, they worship rocks. Look, they hugged the tree. Dear ones, they were one with all, birth, death, ancestry, Gaia. They didn't have a religion. They had God. They had a creator that they knew and could see in the stars. And all four of their focusts honored this creator. They were not pagans. They did not worship the stones. This is the ignorance of those who would be a modern-day philosopher and archaeology, using their own ideas of their own culture and pasting them onto a more sufficient and elegant and mature culture than they ever knew. One with everything. Today you're not. You are starting to understand and replace that now with a maturity and elegance that you might even feel in the ground. That's what they had here. That's what they understood here. And that is what you are starting to recapture here. Let the ancestors celebrate your presence today, and may you feel it. And so it is.